There's a strange kind of exhaustion that sleep can't fix. It's not physical, it's not obvious, and from the outside, your life might look completely fine. But inside your head, it never stops. Every conversation gets replayed. Every silence feels loaded. Every small detail turns into a question that demands an answer. Why did they say it like that? Did I do something wrong? What are they really thinking? And the worst part? You don't even trust your own peace anymore, because when things feel calm, your mind starts searching for what's wrong. If that sounds familiar, this isn't just overthinking. It's something deeper. It's the moment awareness turns into control, and control slowly turns into a prison. Today, we're going to break that down in a way most people never do. Not just why your mind works like this, but the hidden pattern keeping you stuck, and how to finally step out of it without losing the depth that makes you who you are. Most people think the problem is thinking too much, but that's not actually true. Your awareness isn't the enemy. In fact, your ability to notice details, read people, and understand emotions, that's a rare strength. The real problem is what your mind does with that awareness. It doesn't just observe, it tries to control. It takes every piece of information and turns it into a prediction, a calculation, a way to stay one step ahead of pain. Because somewhere along the way, your brain learned something very important. If I can understand everything, I won't get hurt. So now, instead of simply living life, you manage it. You scan for risks, you analyze people's behavior, you prepare for outcomes that haven't even happened. And at first, it feels smart, responsible, even powerful. But over time, it becomes exhausting, because life isn't something you can fully predict. And the more you try, the more your mind keeps searching for certainty that doesn't exist. This pattern doesn't just appear randomly. It usually begins in one of two ways. The first is natural sensitivity. Some people are simply wired to feel and notice more. From a young age, they pick up on tone, energy, and subtle emotional shifts. For them, the world has always felt more intense, more detailed, more alive. But the second path is different. It comes from adaptation, from learning to survive in an unpredictable environment. Imagine growing up in a place where emotions weren't stable, where moods changed quickly, where you had to constantly read the room to stay safe. In that kind of environment, awareness becomes a tool. You learn to notice everything, not because you want to, but because you have to. You become skilled at detecting tension, at predicting reactions, at adjusting yourself to avoid conflict. And over time, that skill becomes automatic. It doesn't turn off when the environment changes. It follows you into adulthood. And what once protected you starts controlling you. Here's where it gets deeper. There's a loop happening in your mind that most people never notice. It works like this. First, something small happens. A delayed reply, a short response, a subtle change in someone's tone. Then your awareness picks it up instantly, and your brain asks, "What does this mean?" But instead of waiting for reality, your mind fills in the gaps. It creates possibilities. Then it evaluates those possibilities, and most of the time, it chooses the worst one. Not because you're negative, but because your brain is trying to protect you. If you expect the worst, you won't be surprised by it. But here's the problem. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. So every time your mind creates a negative scenario, your body reacts like it's actually happening. Your heart rate changes, your muscles tense, your energy drops. And now you're not just thinking, you're feeling the stress, which makes your mind search even harder for answers. And just like that, you're trapped in a loop. This is why you can feel exhausted even after a quiet day, because your brain never actually rests. Even when you're sitting still, your mind is running simulations, replaying conversations, predicting outcomes, analyzing behavior. It's like having a second life happening entirely inside your head, and it consumes energy, a lot of it. That's why simple interactions can feel draining. That's why you sometimes avoid situations, not because they're hard, but because you know how much mental work they'll create afterward. It's not laziness, it's overload. The biggest cost of this pattern isn't just stress, it's disconnection. Because when your mind is always analyzing, you're never fully in the moment. You're observing it, evaluating it, measuring it, but not actually experiencing it. You can be in a conversation, but part of you is outside of it, watching yourself, watching the other person, trying to understand what's really happening beneath the surface. And slowly, you lose something important, your ability to just be, to laugh without analyzing it, to enjoy without questioning it, to feel without explaining it. Life becomes something you study instead of something you live. Here's a truth most people don't realize. You're not actually searching for understanding. You're searching for certainty. You want to know what people mean, what will happen, what you should do, because certainty feels safe. But life doesn't offer certainty. It offers uncertainty all the time. And the more you resist that, the more tension you create inside yourself. So the goal isn't to understand everything. That's impossible. The goal is to become okay with not knowing. This is where everything changes. Not by thinking more, but by relating to your thoughts differently. Instead of asking, "What does this mean?" you start asking, "Do I actually need to figure this out right now?" Because most of the time, you don't. Not every silence is a message. Not every reaction is about you. Not every thought deserves your attention. And this is where real freedom begins. Not when your mind becomes quiet, but when you stop obeying every thought it produces. So, how do you actually break this pattern? It starts with 3 simple shifts. First, separate observation from interpretation. You notice something. That's awareness. But the story you attach to it, that's optional. Learn to pause before creating meaning. Second, let sensations exist without reacting. If your heart beats faster, you don't need to analyze it. You don't need to fix it. Just let it pass. Your body knows how to regulate itself if you stop interfering. Third, stop solving problems that don't exist yet. Your mind will try to predict the future. Let it, but don't follow it. Come back to what's actually happening now. Because most of the time, right now, it's fine. When you stop trying to control everything, something unexpected happens. Your awareness doesn't disappear. It changes. It becomes lighter, softer. Instead of scanning for danger, you start noticing beauty. Instead of analyzing people, you start experiencing them. Instead of preparing for pain, you start allowing joy. And for the first time in a long time, your mind feels like a place you can rest in. If you've been living like this, constantly thinking, analyzing, trying to stay ahead of everything, you're not broken. You adapted. You became aware in a world that needed you to be. But now, you don't have to carry everything anymore. You don't have to solve every silence. You don't have to understand every emotion. You don't have to predict every outcome. You can just live. And that doesn't make you less intelligent. It makes you free. If this felt like it was describing you, stay with that feeling. That recognition matters. And if you want more videos that help you understand your mind in a deeper, simpler way, make sure you subscribe. Because the more you understand this pattern, the easier it becomes to step out of it. And maybe, for the first time in a long time, just enjoy the moment without trying to figure it out. I'll see you in the next video.